It was a fog-laden October night when I, an aspiring actor seeking a thrilling gig, found myself stepping into the ominous realm of the Blackthorn Manor haunted house. The crumbling mansion loomed against the moonlit sky, its shadowy windows and creaking doors promising an eerie adventure. Little did I know that what awaited me inside would transcend the boundaries of scripted fear. As the night unfolded, I became acquainted with my fellow actors, each adorned in grotesque costumes, ready to plunge the visitors into a spine-chilling experience. The air buzzed with excitement and nervous laughter as we prepared for the first wave of unsuspecting guests. I, too, reveled in the thrill, confident that my performance would evoke screams and shivers. The initial hours passed in a blur of fog machines and flickering candlelight. My scripted scares became second nature, and the haunting ambiance enveloped me. However, the true horror awaited in the form of two mysterious visitors. A couple shrouded in darkness, their faces obscured by hooded cloaks. I encountered them in the dilapidated ballroom, where the echo of their footsteps sent a chill down my spine. Unsettlingly, they seemed immune to the fear that gripped others. My attempts to startle them were met with a cold, unyielding silence. It was as if they knew the house's secrets, as if they were part of a dark undercurrent that flowed beneath the performance. As the night progressed, so did their presence. Each room I entered, they were there, watching. The foggy corridors seemed to close in on me, and the scripted scares turned into desperate attempts to break their stoic composure. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized they weren't ordinary guests. They were something else, something otherworldly. The climax of my nightmare unfolded during a solo performance in the haunted cellar. The flickering candlelight revealed their faces, or lack thereof. Hollow sockets stared back at me, and a wave of terror crashed over me as I recognized their inhuman nature. My screams, once fueled by acting prowess, turned into genuine pleas for escape. The visitors revealed their true intent, to blend in with the macabre performance, to feed off the fear they so effortlessly instilled in others. They weren't guests, they were specters, drawing sustenance from the terror of the living. As the realization dawned, the boundary between fiction and reality blurred, and I found myself entwined in a nightmare beyond the script's control. In the surreal silence that followed, the visitors dissipated into the shadows, leaving me alone in the haunted cellar. The once thrilling prospect of scaring others had morphed into a haunting reality, where the line between performer and prey became tragically thin. Blackthorn Manor held secrets darker than any scripted horror, a realm where the audience became the actors, and the actors became unwilling participants in a nightmarish play. To those who dare to venture into the realm of haunted houses, be wary of the darkness that lurks beyond the illusion. Sometimes the most haunting entities wear humangeisi. Trust your instincts, and if the fear feels too real, it might be. In the realm of scripted horrors, reality may hide waiting to ensnare those who dare to tread the boundary between make-believe and the unknown. The night was alive with anticipation as my friends and I gathered at the entrance of Ravenhurst Manor, a renowned haunted house that promised to terrify even the bravest souls. Little did we know that the horrors we sought were not confined to the shadows cast by eerie animatronics and dimly lit corridors. As we stepped into the chilling embrace of the manor, I felt a tingling excitement, amplified by a cocktail of nerves and substances. The air was thick with the scent of fog machines and the distant echoes of unsettling laughter. Unbeknownst to us, Ravenhurst Manor held secrets far darker than any scripted scare. The scripted scares began predictably enough. Hulking figures lunged at us from hidden corners, and spectral voices whispered from the darkness. But as we ventured deeper, the boundary between illusion and reality blurred, and the eerie ambiance transformed into an oppressive force that seemed to feed on our fears. My friends and I, fueled by a concoction of adrenaline and substances, stumbled through disorienting corridors. The shadows played tricks on our senses, and the line between performer and spectator dissolved into a disconcerting haze. An unsettling paranoia took root, gnawing at the edges of reason. Amidst the scripted horrors, I began to perceive something more insidious, a personal hell manifesting before my eyes. Ghostly figures took on the faces of people from my past, each specter a manifestation of unresolved trauma. The walls of the manor seemed to pulse with memories, and the air grew heavy with the weight of my deepest fears. As my friends reveled in the thrill of the haunted house, I found myself ensnared in a waking nightmare. The line between my haunted past and the malevolent performance blurred further, and I struggled to discern reality from the nightmarish illusions that surrounded me. In a particularly claustrophobic corridor, I faced a manifestation that sent shivers down my spine. A ghostly figure bearing the face of a childhood friend lost to tragedy. The apparition accused me with hollow eyes, dredging up guilt and grief that I had buried deep within. The walls seemed to close in as the haunted house transformed into a psychological battleground. My friends, oblivious to my internal torment, pressed forward, leaving me alone to confront the demons of my past. The air grew colder, and the once amusing scares became harbingers of an unspeakable dread. I stumbled through the haunted house, pursued by specters that mirrored the shadows of my psyche. In the final chamber, Ravenhurst Manor revealed its true nature. The walls peeled away to unveil a surreal landscape, a distorted reflection of my own traumas. The ghostly figures circled me, their accusations echoing in the cavernous space. As the manor's facade crumbled, I faced a choice: succumb to the terrors within or emerge from the haunted house transformed. With a surge of courage, I confronted the spectral figures, acknowledging the pain they represented. In a climactic moment, the apparitions dissipated, leaving me alone in the echoing chamber. The haunted house, once a realm of terror, now stood as a metaphorical battleground where I confronted the specters that had tormented me for years. To those who venture into the dark realms of haunted houses, remember that the true horrors may not be scripted. Be mindful of the shadows that stir within, for the mind can conjure terrors far more profound than any special effect. Face your fears, both real and imagined, with courage, and recognize that sometimes the most haunting specters are the ones we carry within ourselves. The air was thick with the scent of fog machines and the distant echoes of unsettling laughter as I stepped into the dimly lit entrance of the Raven's Hollow haunted house. Little did I know that my decision to take on a job as a scare actor in this macabre attraction would unravel a nightmarish tale that surpassed the scripted horrors within. As I donned my ghastly costume, the anticipation of scaring thrill-seekers bubbled within me. The eerie ambiance of the haunted house seemed to come alive with each creak of the floorboards and distant moan of the animatronics. However, my excitement was short-lived, as the boundary between staged fear and genuine terror blurred. The first sign that something was amiss occurred during my stint in the decrepit graveyard scene. A pair of guests clad in disheveled clothing passed through, their eyes lingering on me with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. They weren't there for the scares. Their gaze bore into me like hungry wolves assessing their prey. Shrugging off the unease, I continued my role, lurching and moaning as a fog machine enveloped the scene. However, the disconcerting encounter lingered in the recesses of my mind, a whisper of foreboding that refused to dissipate. As the night progressed, the unsettling guests reappeared, their presence growing more ominous with each encounter. No longer satisfied with observing from a distance, they breached the boundaries of the haunted house, cornering me in dark corridors and hidden alcoves. Their whispered conversation sent shivers down my spine, and their fixation on me extended beyond the realm of normalcy. The scripted scares lost their allure as the real horror unfolded. The feeling of being hunted by shadows that wore the guise of human form. In the narrow confines of the labyrinthine haunted house, the line between actor and victim blurred further. The unnerving pair was relentless, their pursuit escalating to a point where my performance became a desperate attempt to elude their grasp. The scripted horrors paled in comparison to the tangible fear that gripped my heart. With each twist and turn, I felt their presence like a looming storm. The laughter of the guests became a cacophony of malevolence, and the animatronics' mechanical groans echoed the rhythm of my racing heartbeat. Raven's Hollow had transformed from a stage of staged frights into a battleground for my sanity. As I burst through the exit, gasping for breath, the haunted house's facade seemed to mock me. The disturbing guests vanished into the night, leaving behind a lingering sense of dread. The line between the immersive horror experience and a personal nightmare had been irrevocably crossed. Days turned into nights, and the specter of that haunting encounter refused to release its grip. Shadows danced at the periphery of my vision, and every creak of a floorboard became a harbinger of impending doom. The once beloved haunted house had become a haunting memory, and I questioned whether the true horror lay within its walls or within the recesses of my own mind. To those tempted by the allure of haunted house jobs, beware the thin veil that separates the staged frights from the genuine terrors that may lurk among the visitors. Trust your instincts. If the fear feels too real, it might be. Report any unsettling encounters to the management and prioritize your safety. Remember, sometimes the most chilling horrors are the ones that follow you beyond the exit, leaving shadows that linger long after the stage scares fade away.